Okay, so I'm going to show you how to lay this out. We're going to just start with a piece of printer paper, and we're going to draw our mark that's going to go halfway through. This is not quite 8.5, okay? So I ended up doing 4 and like one of those 16th marks and just made a little hash mark at the top. And then same thing with down here with a little hash mark at the bottom. Our goal for this is to practice drawing as lightly as we can. Okay, and so I feel like, what did I do there? I'm at the wrong place. 4. Okay, so I feel like holding your pencil a little differently helps. I tend to like hold it like this so I can just guide and slide this along. So I can have something that is, really faint. Okay, and I don't know, can you see that on there? Okay, hey, that's good. Let me hold it up a little higher. You can kind of see that. So, not really. Hey, I did good then. So I can see my line, and then I'm going to use the pieces that I picked out. I went ahead and flipped this the other direction. Okay, so instead of having it this way, I flipped it over. I'm going to do my around and like on this one, and I'm going to flip this one upside down this way. And you could even measure and make sure that you have this like correctly this direction. Okay, so like I have 1 3/4 inches, and then I've got way more over here. So I know that if I wanted this centered, I would need to shift all of this down. Okay, and so this is like 2 1/4. This is, I could shift it down a teeny bit and make this 2 1/4. Okay, so I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna go ahead and trace these, and again, lining up these middle parts with that line, and then trying to draw this as light as possible. Everything is going to be erased, all these boxes, except the banner. Okay, the banner is probably still something that you want to see. Okay, but as light as you can. I'm going to go ahead and draw those extra little marks on here so I can see where to draw, like this part. Okay, and that one's crooked. So as light as possible, so then you can go ahead and you're able to erase. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing with these real quick. Ooh, I did not guide that one. You can see that. Okay, whoops. As light as possible. One more left. Okay, can you see my boxes? Hey. You see one line? See a triangle. How about Samantha and Alexa? You can see them? Okay, so, really, they don't want to be super visible, okay? But I'm going to go ahead, and we talked about how we would divide these into sections. So for my word, throw, this is the font that I picked out, okay? And so I can look at this and I have 5 letters. So I'm going to go ahead and divide this like I talked about before. Now, I don't have to draw the whole thing. I just need to be able to see, exactly where I'm starting and stopping, okay? If you don't draw it all, then you really wouldn't have to erase it all either, but you might have to draw the line all the way at a later point. One thing that we didn't talk about were like, what is this line right here? Okay, like what does this mean? Like this line. And so what this is, if you look at this font here, for at least like this lowercase section, this is where all of these line up. Like you can see the top of the T, the top of the R, the top of the O, and the top of the W. So those would all be within or underneath that dotted line. Okay. Now you could move that line up if you wanted to, okay, but you wouldn't have to. And so for mine on this one, I'm going to speed this up and show you here. I have them divided, okay? I have this line, this center part drawn. So I would go on this one and draw this across. So then I would know that my H, the top of that H would be under that line. Does that make sense? Yeah? The R would be underneath there, the O and the W, okay? And so if I'm looking at this, I'm trying to create the same style and think of and look at all of the things that are unique about this font, okay? It's not going to be identical. It's not going to be perfect, okay? But you're going to try. And if you look at this, you can see the top of the T is tilted, okay? So that's something unique. The W over here has kind of an extra piece where it's connected and this isn't straight, okay? So these are things that I tried to mimic and copy. The O for this is completely round. It's a circle, okay? So same thing. I stayed within those sections, and on this font, I kept a gap in between all of them, okay? Because I felt like there was lots of like gaps in here, okay? So I kept the same amount around those. Now, I would do this, just like I said, thinking that this is not perfect, okay? Thinking that we're probably going to look at it and we're going to modify it, okay, before we do our final one, okay? Yes, this is our second draft, okay, before we do our final. So what I've done on this one, same thing. I have this line that's drawn through, and you can look at this font over here, okay, and you can see that this goes through the center. It's like through the center of these S's, through the center of the E, okay? And so I'm going to make these a little darker. You can kind of see my boxes here, okay? And so I filled those boxes, right? And they've gotten smaller. But I have tried to keep like some of these unique things about it, like with the D, okay, how this is put together, with the K, how it has a little curly thing, with the S's, how there's those little kind of teardrop pieces on there. The E there, if you draw a box around here, these two are shorter, okay, than the bottom one. So I've tried to maintain some of that, okay, along the way. I'm going to go ahead and do the next one so we can do this maybe a little quicker. I am going to draw this line, okay, which is copying this top one. It's like going up and then back down, okay. So you could use a ruler, you could, draw it. I feel like I can do this pretty quick just that way. So I've got this drawn. I do need to think, this was a funny one that I did because it had so many gaps, or so many pieces. 1, 2, 3. So I would count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I need 11 gaps, okay, or spaces. I'm going to make a gap right in the center. And then I know that I'm going to need, 5 on each side, okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey, that's pretty good for guessing. Okay, so there's my map out of how this is going to be, and then I am going to fit all of these into those gaps. Okay, and so for this one is, it's little, right? It's going to be in that bottom part of it. It's a circle. Okay, and then this little section is right on the end. But again, I'm drawing this so I could erase this. Okay, I am practicing. So I have this A that is similar to this A. Okay, I'll do my next one, which will go up a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to have it fill like real close to that section. I don't know if I want that to curve more. Some of this you just have to try and see what it looks like. Okay, and I feel like I probably have too much of a curve on that, too much of a curve on this. I'm going to make them a little less, and I don't think I went up high enough. Okay, so we'll go with that for right now. So I can show you the rest of this. I'm going to do my O, which is going to get distorted. That's what these like layouts do, is they distort. So there's no way that this could be a circle on this one, right? Because it's being stretched out. Okay, so there's my O. I'm going to go ahead, give myself a little gap there. I don't want them all the way squished. But I'm going to draw this section. Okay, and kind of round these out on the top. Okay, and do a round. I have this spelled right so far? Yes, that is good. Okay, so here comes for my N, where I would have this go up to the top. I feel like that's probably too skinny. I want this a little bigger. And you look, this is all pretty even around there. So I might even start at right up here and pull those down. Okay, but I make mistakes too, and I have to use my eraser as well. Okay, it is not a bad thing. Okay, so these were all ones that were underneath that line. This is one that goes up above it. Okay, this D. And so I'm going to have the circle part of this underneath, but the stick part of this going up. Okay, and so that's going to be like all the way up here to keep the shape that I have, okay, and have it look like the rest of it. Okay, and then this one's going to go all the way up to that line. Okay, so you can see how that works there. I'm going to have a space, and then I'm going to be able to do the like part of it. So L. And we'll talk about maybe a little problem that I see that I might have wanted to, I might need to like tweak for the next time that I do this. Okay, the K part of this is going to go up all the way. And sometimes you can just draw that whole thing down, right? Like draw this part all the way down. Okay, which is what I did here. And then I can figure out what I want to do with the rest of this. So this K can like, it's not as difficult to make because you're going to connect all those pieces together. Okay. Last thing is my E, which gets squished into this little, okay, little section, and it does have kind of a place where it's like it's a circle, but it has like a piece cut out of it. And so for me, that's what I'm going to do, because that's the way that I see it, is making a circle and kind of cutting that section out and helping me make that piece. Which I still feel like something, but I'm